Hello game trollers and welcome to a new video and welcome to my review of the second half of Series 12 of Doctor Who. It's been an interesting one. Interesting series here. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. You kind of know the gist. I would like talk about my least favorite episode, work up to my favorite episode, and kind of just, review each episode in sort of like a little mini review. So, we're gonna be talking about first, of course, the first episode here, my least favorite of the second half of Series 12. Not my least favorite overall, although it's my second least favorite. We have Can You Hear Me? Which, I feel like at this point, episode 7 of Doctor Who is like, you should know. It's most likely, it's like an 80% chance it's just gonna be an absolute train wreck. Like, there's no... It's either you get like a Kerblam, or like a... Amy's Choice was episode 7, right? And like, you either get a Kerblam or like an Amy's Choice, and then just like bunches, like tons of like long games and Can You Hear Me's. But anyways, I've kind of already sort of given a lot of my sort of thoughts and stuff on this episode in that rant video I did about the episode, so I'll probably link that in the description, so I won't, go too long on it. But yeah, it wasn't very good. It's like there's a lot of potential to be to actually be something special, something really good. But there's just something... I mean, one, I just didn't like the Doctor in that episode in general. Like, I just found her really aggravating. She just... Like, all the fire that she had... Like, in Fugitive, right? She was, like, completely just... This angsty, brooding character that was, like, just... like, you had some fire and stuff. And then, after... Like, and then Praxeus I can sort of forgive because, like, they filmed that, like, after Spyfall Part 1, so it was, like, kind of in Jodie Whittaker's, like, switch phase of, like, her getting a little bit more serious, right? So, I'm fine with Praxeus, but then, like, Can You Hear Me was just kind of, like, it was so weird, because she kind of just came in, was being goofy, like, that scene in the TARDIS when she's, like... Everybody goes and she's saying, maybe I'll just go see them tomorrow. Like, it was just weird. Like, I kind of expected her to, like, be, like, go super dark, like, just start looking serious as AF, But, no. So, yeah, I didn't really like her Doctor in that episode at all. And, of course, my biggest issue with the episode is, like, just that bit after they get trapped in, like, the dream things... all the way to, like, when Yaz does the flashback to the police stuff, right? Like, everything before that, like, the build-up with, like, the Syrian nurse girl and sort of, like... Actually, you know what? Not even then. Like, I think the episode, like, completely started to fall apart as soon as, like... Zell and the Doctor actually, like, had that conversation, which I talked about, which was basically, like, an exposition of like, I have this bit of information I'm gonna give you, but actually I have this information. That was atrocious. Like, it started to fall off there. And it's, like, everything before that, like, all the build-up, all the, like, the stuff in Syria, and, like, the, little bits of, like, nightmares and stuff that you got were, like, they were alright. Like, it was a relatively good, solid build-up, and, like, ooh, we're probably getting somewhere. But, like, the big issue was once we got to the place that we're supposed to get, it was atrocious. It's like imagine that episode as like a series of Doctor Who, right? Like, like a series 1. No. Like a series... Like a series 4. Let's say it was like series 4. Like, everything's going smoothly. Everything's going well, And then you get to Turn Left. And everything from Turn Left to Journey's End is an absolute train wreck of just massive proportions. Like that planet-destroying train wreck right there. That's basically that episode. And then the special is, like, kind of nice. but it's not gonna like repair the damage that the finale did. That's basically that episode in a nutshell. That whole bit of like just the villains just being defeated, like, ugh, that was so bad. Like, even if you like use the excuse that it's for a kids show, right? Like Gravity Falls, like Gravity Falls. I've watched a lot of Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls, primo kid show right there, right? Their villains have never been so pathetic. Their villains were never pathetic. As pathetic as Zelen and Rayeka. Like, what is going on there? So, yeah, that was... Honestly, I don't even feel like talking about that episode. But, yeah. So, like, the build-up was fine. But it's like, if the actual payoff is bad, then just everything that was building up to it retroactively is, like, bad. Because, like... it's like driving... Is like driving to go to some restaurant and then the food sucking. It's like that whole drive will just be sullied because, yeah. It's like the whole. It's not about the destination. It's the journey. But if the destination is not, a good destination, then the journey was kind of pointless, wasn't it? So yeah. Companions were fine. And I kind of liked the sort of little bit of development we got. Like the whole Graham being afraid of his cancer, the whole Yaz being like, depressed teen running away from home, potentially suicidal, but they don't really like properly say it, and like, the whole Ryan's one was a bit weird. I didn't really like understand or like what they were doing with Ryan's like little nightmare gimmick of like he's afraid his friends will die and he won't be around to like see them die. That was like weird. It's like, you want to hear the world ended? It's like, okay, good. I don't want to be on Earth when it's ending. And then the whole dregs coming back, like, that was weird because they never established that he was afraid or like had this like super, like this intense like reaction to the dregs in any way, really. Like, it didn't, like, maybe that's just like coming down to how Chibnall writes his episodes, right? But like Chibnall and like just the era, how meh the character writing is. But like they didn't really hammer home that like the dregs would have affected Ryan enough to where he's having nightmares of them, or like they're like, I don't know, it was weird. And obviously it's probably not the dregs specifically, but more like the world ending and stuff like that. And like the dregs are probably gonna be a result of the world ending, but either way. And of course the Doctor being the timeless child stuff, that was obvious. But yeah. But another problem with it is just the placement of the episode, I think, because like it's literally right. It was the 18th episode of the of like this whole era of these companions being on the show. Their 18th episode, we just get this bit of like, like character development for them. Like we didn't know this, like, I don't know, like arachnids, this would have been a valuable piece of information, but no, we wanted to wait for 18 episodes to tell you, oh, Yaz is depressed, and not really have it be like hinted at or developed at all previously, like retroactively you could like look at it and like, oh, that's funny, like that scene from Rosa when like Ryan's like, have you always been this positive, and she's like, but like they don't really give her like a weird reaction to that. I don't know. Anyway, I've gone on too long about Can You Hear Me. So yeah, Can You Hear Me, I think a 5 out of 10. I'm very tempted to give it a 4.5 out of 10, but I don't think it was, I don't know, it looked nice, so I'll give it that. But yeah, anyways, let's get on to the next episode, which of course is Praxeus. Praxeus was a fine episode, wasn't too, like, I don't know, Praxeus I think was just kind of like, I don't know. There was something off with Praxeus. There was something that didn't quite click with that episode. It had, scope. It had stakes. The actual like message and like quote unquote politics of the episode was way better handled than pretty much anything in the series or Chibnall era. Like Pete Matigue, I think, like he does those sort of political and analogies and like fits them into the story a lot better, which I think is kind of just like like more of a like the Chibnall era. They're a lot more direct with their stuff. Like instead of having, I don't know, like what's like an alien thing about like racists. Like there's a specific, like I don't know, humans and the Draconians. I just watched Frontier in Space, so like instead of like having the humans and the Draconians be racist against each other, so you just have a black, just this segregation with like whites and blacks, or like I don't know, like a story about imperialism, like the Earth, like say colony, no, not colony in space. What was it? The mutants, right? Like that's kind of like a story about imperialism and like going to a place and like messing around with that place, but like the original natives, they're kind of getting the shaft and stuff like that. But like instead, it's like we're actually just doing England and in India and blah blah blah. So yeah. So the Chibnall era is a lot more direct with like how they do their like messages and stuff, whereas I feel like the Pete Matai episodes, maybe they're still direct, but like they're weaved into the story in a way that's like, this is still a basis for a good story here. You can't, like, it's not like the message is taking over the story or it feels like it should be more important than the story. It's kind of like weaved into the story where it's like, it's a message that you should probably pay attention to, but also it doesn't really take away from the story that's happening, But yeah, Praxeus, I don't know, like I really can't tell you, because I can't necessarily tell you what's wrong with the episode. I feel like it's fine. Like I can't tell you, oh, this could have changed or this could have been different, really. Like I think maybe like the big thing, which again, like Chibnall era, come on, is like the villains. Like I think the villains were like kind of underwhelming in a way. Like I don't know, they kind of like it's kind of like Kerblam, right? Where the villain kind of serves their purpose of just like they're not these like big figures with like big personalities. They're kind of just like normal people that are doing like this crazy thing for like a good reason, like the kind of misunderstood hero type deal. Like Kerblam, he was gonna frame Kerblam for like killing all those people and saying like you can't trust machines, so you should hire more humans, and then more humans and like more people get to work and stuff like that and get jobs instead of like the robots. But then you're like killing how many people in order to achieve that goal. Like that's interesting. And then like Praxeus, you have the whole, these are like alien scientists from a planet that like has been affected and like messed up by Praxeus, and like they came to Earth because Praxeus kind of thrives in plastic and with plastic, and Earth is full of plastic because of pollution and stuff. And then like they like used it as sort of like a what did she say, like petri dish? Yeah. Like a lab of sorts, like a whole world lab gimmick to sort of try to find a cure, which is kind of messed up in the end because of the whole, they like the doctor and stuff make a cure, but like it only works for humans, which is weird because it's like, did they not think that would happen? Like, did they not realize humans have different biology to them, so that like the whole experimenting on humans would just not be kind of pointless in the end? I don't know. That was weird, but yeah. So, but they kind of served their purpose as like being a good sort of like antagonistic force, and like being a good, like giving us a good thing to fight against, but not necessarily being strong villains. That's kind of how the Pigmatai stuff works. Besides that, like a lot of the comedy kind of stuck the landing, like and like the companions and like their like dialogue and stuff were great. Like I thought they were really really good in that. They felt natural, which is just something that Chibnall era, especially like Series 11, really fails at, is like actually making like the companions banter and like feeling natural and like at home. The side cast, I didn't like the blogger girl. Like I've said a bunch of times, she's basically just Bill, right? She can't like she looks like Bill. Let's just first off, she looks like Bill. She's like a Latina version of Bill, which Bill is already light skinned, so whatever. Uh, that's that's already a whole thing. But then you got like her voice sounds like Bill, which I don't know why, but it does. And also it's just kind of like the personality is like pretty similar to Bill. Like obviously she doesn't have like that Moffat comedy style. Like it's a different writer, a different writing style. So like the dialogue and her personality is gonna feel a little different, obviously. But like if Moffat were writing this, like that would just be Bill. Like she would just be Bill, So yeah, I don't really like Bill that much. Like it's not that I hate Bill or I dislike Bill. It's just she's not. I'm not huge on Bill, and yeah. Um, yeah, I'm just not huge on Bill. Like Nardo was far more entertaining and interesting to watch. But yeah, but the actual like the guy, freaking Justin from Lucifer and his husband, they were great. I liked them. Well, more Justin. The actual like astronaut was kind of. He wasn't really that well developed as a character. He didn't really do too much. Like, obviously, he was mostly, like, sick for the majority of it. So, like, obviously, he wouldn't be on his feet too much. But, like, even once he was, like, healed, like, you would expect him to be the one to fly the spaceship and, like, save the day, I don't know. Maybe, I guess, it probably would have felt earned, like, with the police guy, which I can't remember any of their names. The police guy, he would have been... It was Adam and Jake. There we go. Jake, I should remember this because it's a Genesis of Androzani joke. Jake was like, it kind of felt more earned with him because he got more, development and stuff. So, yeah, but I thought he was great. Obviously, I like the actor, and like the character himself, I thought was pretty well done. Not like the greatest side character of all time, like far from that, but it was like relatively good. And as I said, the astronaut, like he was fine, but there wasn't much to him. One thing I will give to Praxeus is probably like up there with like my favorite episodes in terms of just the visual style. I really liked how it looked, like the just the shots and stuff are really good. Like that shot of Hong Kong, like honestly, just the Hong Kong, like whatever that was. Like obviously I don't think that was like a location shot, right? I don't think they went to like South Africa and made a whole street that's supposed to look like Hong Kong. But I just really liked the look of it because it has that like cyberpunk and like Asian vibe to it that I adore. It's like that. It's like that. Like sort of Victorian and like Regency era, mansions, and then like 1930s cities. Those are just like my three big like, aesthetics. So yeah, I really like the Hong Kong shot. The Madagascar is kind of like meh. Really, by the way, disappointed they did not make a Madagascar reference. Like, they could have easily had, like, Move It playing in the background. Like, I don't know, like, one of them could have started dancing, like, Alex the Lion. I don't know, they could have done something. They could have had, like, I don't know, just, like, I don't know, like, some kind of sticker somewhere with, like, the Madagascar characters. Come on, man. Come on. Play to your audience, Chibnall. Just whatever. Yeah, it was kind of a bit, it's just a beach, I live on an island. I know what a beach looks like, okay? And then the, like, Peru, shots were, like, relatively alright. And the, like, alien spaceship that's, like, well, whatever that was underneath the Indian Ocean, that looked weird in, like, a good way. Kind of looked like the Anti-Zone a little bit from... It Takes You Away. Which, speaking of which, I just kind of major side note, but I would have loved if they reused the like creature from It Takes You Away that they like did not actually put in the episode, like it was deleted or like not used. If like they brought that design back for this episode, for like this series, like maybe Zelen could have had that design. That would have been fun. I don't know. I just thought that because it was a relatively cool design too. So I don't know. But yeah. So that was Praxeus. I mean, the story was pretty solid. There was not much. Like there weren't any plot holes or like major like that doesn't make sense or that shouldn't work. That I can like recall of at least. But yeah, Praxeus is kind of just like it's an alright. It's kind of solid, but like there's not much to it. It's kind of a bit like it's there. It's fine. I remember there was like one big thing with Praxeus that I didn't like, but I can't remember now. But yeah, so 6 out of 10 for Praxeus. As I said, I don't know, it has a weird glass ceiling, kind of like Nikola Tesla. But that episode, like it had a much higher glass ceiling, but it still had a glass ceiling. This one's glass ceiling was like lower, like you couldn't. I don't know. Like I think the villains were probably the big thing, but like they're probably the best way to do the villain. At least name the villains. I think probably would have been like Shribnal Arrows just had the weirdest names for everything. Like why just randomly these alien scientists you just don't give a name to? That was odd. But yeah. Anyways, Praxeus. It's fine. It's a good sort of filler standalone episode. But I feel like just in a 10 episode series, these kind of like filler episodes kind of just are a bit of a waste. But anyways. Next up, and we're basically every story from here on out, I either like or I just think is just like top tier, right? So here we go. I think next up, Haunting of Villa Diodati. It was just a phenomenal episode, really. As I said, it has like one of my favorite aesthetics of like sort of like old like 19th and like early 20th century like mansions and stuff. I really dig. I kind of liked it in like Tooth and Claw. Even though it's a big finish, but Winter for the Adept does it. Which, by the way, I think like that episode and like Haunting of Villa Diodati and Winter for the Adept are like almost like obviously there are big differences, right? But like in terms of like the story, but like kind of just the vibe it gave off was kind of very similar to that. So that I enjoyed. But yeah, it's really good episode. I mean, the first like I don't know 30 minutes when it's kind of just like a haunted house story, and you were like, yay, ghosts, whatever. Like that was all right. Like if the rest of the story was just that. I feel like it would probably be still be here. It would probably be a little bit lower because like it obviously wouldn't go to like too great a height, especially from like the build up and stuff. But I mean, as soon as that Cyberman came on screen, man, like as soon as the shot turned up, everything just went up to 11. I just loved just how edgy and dark everything got as soon as he turned up. Like 13 was like, I'm not gonna lose anybody else to that, and like the whole like honestly, I think even with the finale, I think 13's best scene is still the bit when she's like, this team structure isn't flat. It's sometimes it's mountainous with me at the summit. Like that's such a good line. Like oh my god, oh my god, that is peak right there. We've peaked. That was a peak moment right there. So yeah, I love that bit. I love that bit so much. But yeah. And like just the Cyberman just going around killing, just snapping that maid's neck while the baby, and then just that whole like, I didn't kill your child because he is feeble and weak, and I did have children. I slit their throats when they joined the resistance. Like that right there, man. Like that's how like imagine Tim Shaw saying that in like Battle Ran Square of Co-op. Immediately a better finale, okay? I'm just saying. Yeah, I think at least in this episode, this was probably like a Shaw's best episode. I think mostly because he was like alone and was more just him doing stuff. I feel like, honestly, I think the formula is just have one villain, like one monster around. Like one angel, one weeping angel, one Dalek, one Cyberman, is like better than just an army. I don't know. It's like there's this weird thing with Doctor Who where like if you have a singular entity, like a single like one Cyberman, one Dalek, one Weeping Angel, one I don't know. Again, something else like just the one. It feels a lot more threatening than when you have an army. I don't know. I think it's more because like when you have an army or like a huge like armada of spaceships, kind of feels a bit like abstract, like that like you can't physically picture that, you know. But like once you have just the singular entity, you can sort of vibe with it a little bit more. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just loved that. Like once the Cybermen turned up, like Jodie was phenomenal. Like before, she was pretty alright, but like after that, she was incredible. As I said, Ashad was great. The companions, I don't know, they weren't incredible. Which I think one issue, right? Like, as much as I like Edgy 13, I think an issue is just kind of like, it doesn't feel, like, earned that you would, like, snap on the companions, really. Like, it doesn't feel, like, it's kind of, like, inverse of what I wanted, where I wanted the companions to snap on the Doctor, and then that caused, like, the Doctor to snap, but, like, it's kind of, the Doctor just snaps on them, and, like, they don't really do much. Most of the time they're kind of just like asking questions and stuff. Like they're asking more questions more often. But yeah. Anyways. But yeah, I just really enjoyed Haunting of Villa Diodati. I really can't. I just it was great. So yeah. I think I gave it. I'm not sure what grade to give us. Between an 8 or a 9. It's between an 8 or a 9. I want to say 9. I'm gonna say 9. It was really good. It's really good. But anyways, let's get on to the big boys. The big dude. Of course, the finale. This is. Let's not talk about Time of Story, alright? Let's talk about the first part. Let's talk about Ascension. Ascension was alright. It wasn't too crazy. It was decent as sort of like, I guess, setting. Not really. I think one problem like Chibnall, right? Like the sort of the Chibnall 2-parters, it isn't like a continuous, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's more like the Monk trilogy more than like Human Nature, Family of Blood, if you catch my drift. Like, it feels more like, here's one story, and then second episode, here's a different story that ties in with the first story, and it's kind of just like, it leads into the story, but it's not really like, it doesn't really, it's a continuation, but it's like a different story, like it goes into a different story. It's kind of like the Utopia into, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords, except like, it's just the whole story. It's this weird like 2 stories, but like they're kind of like mashed into one big story, which just doesn't, like, I don't know why Chibnall does his 2-parters like that, but yeah. Just the problem is just like the Ascension of the Cybermen is fine as a build up to a good Cyberman finale, but we didn't have a good Cyberman finale. We had a master finale, kind of like Spyfall like we had a good sort of like Kasavan part 1, but then like we had a good master part 2, but like the Kasavan kind of fell back. Kind of same thing happened with the Cybermen, not to a super similar extent. Like it's not to the same extent as Spyfall. Like the Kasavan got absolutely shafted in part 2. But I feel like the Cybermen did a little bit more. Were a little bit more like active and like useful to the plot and stuff in a way, but not really. But yes, like Ascension is like a good part 1 to like what would have been a good part 2 of like a Cyberman episode, but it wasn't a Cyberman episode. So yeah, but so it kind of just feels a bit like a waste now. It's like, it introduced you to those characters, and then nothing really happened with the characters in part 2. like Kosharmus like turns up in like the last 10 minutes, so he doesn't really do much. So you don't really get much experience or like development from him. And like as I said, like the lady and like the guy, the two guys, they were in part one. They had some decent development stuff with their characters. They were relatively alright side characters, and then they kind of just did nothing in part. Well, it's not did nothing. It was kind of just like, and we're just gonna continue with what we were doing, not really doing or changing much with them at all. They're kind of just gonna float around doing stuff. Woo, it's kind of, I don't know. Like as a conjoined story, I think I do like it. Like, it's not a bad watching experience at all. It's not a Can You Hear Me where I can just look at it and be like, my God, what is this? Like, it's not an absolute travesty, but it isn't. There are some things with it that's just, it doesn't work. I still do like it. I do think it's sort of a good, like, it's a good set of 2 episodes that don't necessarily conjoin into a good overall package. Like, it's an alright overall package, but it doesn't congeal well. Congeal, that's not the word for it, but you know what, I'm gonna use it. But yeah, Ascension was alright. Like, the Cybermen were fine. Like, the new design was great. Like, I just loved like, that's my favorite type of, like, Cyberman head, so, just bring that back and just put it on, the Nightmare Silver Cybermen. I'm kind of fine with that. It's a shame we're probably not gonna get them again, because Chibnall is weird, but, yeah, so, I don't know what to say about the finale, because it's weird. I should have the most to talk about the finale, but it's just such, like, there it is. Like, enjoy it in all its splendor. Kind of just like, it was a finale. Yeah, Ascension was a good, like, episode. It was a fine episode. I enjoyed it. It was a good build up. The Cybermen were cool. The side characters were alright. The Doctor was pretty good in it too. Just sort of, it was building up well of, like, here we go, we're doing here, we're going there, la la la. It was a good build up episode, but, like, because the build up didn't really build up to what it should have been building up, or, like, build up well, then it kind of just pales in comparison now. The only thing that really kind of works is the whole Brendan section. Like, all the Brendan scenes, obviously, when you have the context for them in part 2, they kind of make a bit more sense, like, work a little bit better. You can figure some things out there. And, like, that's the only actual good build-up for the finale, which is funny. But, yeah, so, let's just talk about Timeless Children. It's, like, one of those, I think... just a thing with the Whittaker era is just, there's this weird sense of, like, separation I have with it, with, like, the rest of the show. Like, before, I used to have it with, like, RTD and Moffat, where, like, I'd watch, like, Series 4, and then I'd watch Series 5, and it's like, man, these are completely different shows, aren't they? But there was still, like, more, like, it still felt like it was building, like, it came from the RTD era, whereas, like, Whittaker era is just kind of, it feels like it's in its own bubble of existence, where it just does, it's kind of almost to the same extent as, like, the TV movie. I think it's the best way of putting it. It's just, it feels like it's such a little bubble of its own that, like, you can just do whatever you want there in terms of, like, the lore, and it's fine, because my brain cannot, like, say, so that means Hartnell is not the first Doctor anymore, because I kind of just don't, like, I can't connect it properly with the rest of the canon because of just the weird psychological things with the series. So, yeah, there's just this weird, like, separation I have with this compared to, like, the rest of the show. Which, as I said, is kind of just to the same extent as, like, the TV movie, really. Where you could reference, you can bring back, you can tried to make it as much like Doctor Who as possible, but like just the vibe of it just doesn't flow with the rest of the show in a way to where I can really get mad at the whole changing the lore thing, because it feels like a different show. It just feels like a different show. That's like it just feels like a reboot. And it's like it doesn't really matter. Like you could do whatever you want in the reboot. The like everything that came before is still fine. Not to like sound like a not my doctor guy. Like that's exactly what those kind of people say. But yeah, that's kind of just how it feels. Just this era. So I generally just can't get mad at the whole pre-Hartnell Doctor stuff, even though, this is just the weird character development of my own, where like the first time I heard the rumor of there being pre-Hartnell Doctors, I was just like, oh my god, that is the worst thing I've ever heard. And like I don't know, I just knew it was gonna be real. Like everybody's like, oh, that's fake. They would never do something so wild and stupid. Blah. They like everybody on the internet was saying that. Was like, if they do it, but like they're not. It's not gonna happen. It's a dumb fake leak. What? And then it ended up being completely true. So I would love to just go to those videos and like get those sound bites and put them in a little compilation, and like those messages and those the stuff that people wrote, just put it in a little compilation and just show it to you. Show your stupidity for believing that Chibnall was not a madman. But yeah, like when I first heard it, I was just losing my marbles. I was just like, no, this cannot be real. This cannot happen. This is just dumb. I just was completely against it, right? And then after a while, I was just kind of like, it was kind of like, it's like Arthur in Red Dead Redemption 2. Spoilers. But it's kind of like Arthur in Red Dead Redemption 2, where like you get the first like bit of like tuberculosis, like, oh no, Arthur, oh no. But by the time you get to like the final mission, it's like, come on, Arthur, just pull off the band-aid, just go and die, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be sad. It's fine. What? I just do it, man. I've resigned myself to it. That's basically what happened. I was just like, man, just do the pre-Hartnell stuff, Chibnall. Like once Fugitive happened, like I really like Fugitive, and like it was like maybe it won't be pre-Hartnell, but it was like in my heart was like, yeah, it's gonna be pre-Hartnell, isn't it? So like, so at that point, I kind of just like, okay, fine, just accept it. Whatever Chibnall does, if he does it, well, fair enough. Like, it just, at least if the episode is fine, if you enjoy the episode, then good-o. But just yeah. So the pre-Hartnell stuff and like the Timeless Child being the Doctor, all that's like whatever. It's fine. But we'll say, at least the big positive of that whole thing was the whole blowing up the Matrix scene, where they had the theme song playing, and she just was like doing this wild like rocker like head motion, and like the flashbacks and like the little like pictures of everybody. That right there, like that got my adrenaline like absolutely pumping. Like I've never been as excited and hype as in that moment. Like I can only think of 2 moments in my life when I've been that hype. Was the trailer for Batman Arkham Knight when that first came out, when like they were showing Batmobile and all that stuff, and then the like when the Hardys came back at WrestleMania 33. Only 2 times I've been that hype in my life, and that was when I was younger. I was preteen, teenager. That was when I was a wee baby, right? And now I'm a full-blown 18-year-old getting hype like that. You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me, man. So yeah, I was super like that. That whole scene, at the very least, is at least my favorite scene of the episode, at the very least. But yeah, the episode itself wasn't atrocious. I thought the Master was great, as always. Really, like I don't know, just like I can't really super hate an episode with the Master in it, especially like in New Who. Like End of Time. If the Master weren't in End of Time, I think it'd be atrocious, but like I don't know, just something about the Master's presence there kind of just makes it feel special, and therefore like I should like it, you know. Kind of same thing with like Spy4 Part 2, where like if it weren't for the Master, like if it was just like the Doctor going through time and like you had the Kassavan and all that, like if you didn't have all the Master component and like the Gallifrey component of Spy4, like I wouldn't like it at all, because the Kassavan and Daniel Barton stuff was like not very good in Part 2, and therefore like all the build up from Part 1 kind of gets sullied again, because that's just how my brain works. Okay, but yeah, I like the Master stuff, and I like the Cyber Master stuff, like the whole Time Lord Cybermen gimmicks. Those were fine. I like the designs. I thought the designs were cool. It just makes sense. It's like a Cyberman Time Lord. Like that's what they would look like, right? The fact that like they came back a lot. Like I saw a tweet. It was like, how come they're alive? How come they can regenerate but they're dead? So like, shouldn't they not be able to regenerate? That's just like one of those things where it's like, yep. That makes complete sense. Why is that? That you know, that's plot hole, but like rule of cool. I guess it's just one of those rule of cool situations. But like, you know, I don't know. I think like people just have such a like a negative, like, and such a harsh allergic reaction to this episode that like any attempt like at rule of cool or any like way of like just skirting past like an inconsistency or like an error or mistake, like they will just hound it for everything. Like you just like there's people just will not like this episode even if they tried. Okay, it's not in their system to enjoy that episode at all. And you know, as I said, I resigned myself to accepting Pre-Hartnell is like fine, whatever. The Doctor being the timeless child, I actually got spoiled on that because I didn't watch it live. I actually watched it a little bit later because I was asleep. Yeah, so like I missed it, and then like looking around, I like just accidentally saw like the whole Doctor's the timeless child gimmick. I saw that. That was like the only spoiler I got, I think. But yeah. As I said, the Cybermasters like were fine. I think the big problem was kind of just they didn't really do anything. It was kind of like, here's the idea of these Time Lord Cybermen, you know, hybrids, which I mean they easily could have made a hybrid joke there, and that would easily have made Series 9 either better or worse depending on on your reaction to the episode. They easily could have said these guys were the hybrid, but you know, whatever. Destined to destroy Gallifrey. So technically, but like the guy that actually destroys Gallifrey was Ko-Shamras. Actually, no, the death particle I don't think like destroys planets, right? I think it was just like it can only like destroy organic material or whatever. So I guess, you know, I guess Gallifrey didn't get destroyed, did. I guess Gallifrey just... I actually thinking about it, I was like, yeah, Gallifrey's probably not actually destroyed, isn't it? I don't know why. I thought it was like a nuke where like the whole planet just exploded, but actually thinking about it, like the whole death particle thing is like it only kills organic matter. So that just means the Time Lord Cybermen and the Master potentially, and obviously Ko-Shamras are dead, but like everything else is fine. It's only just occurred to me, so that makes the episode a little bit better, because I thought it just was like, yeah, just forget Gallifrey. I think that's the big problem with the episode, is just the whole, like, it kind of just makes Time Lords and like just all the previous Doctors and all, it kind of just makes everything feel a little bit obsolete now. You know, it's kind of just like, yeah, there was more stuff before. Woohoo! There was more Doctors. Time Lords hiding stuff, lies everywhere. Just whatever you thought was real was not real. The show you liked, all the stuff that you thought were good, actually it's a little bit different, so maybe you won't like it with this new context. That's kind of the effect, but obviously, as I said, Whittaker bubble is fine. It's wonderful. It's completely and utterly fine. Just the Whitaker bubble can just float, do whatever it wants. It doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, and I really liked all the people. Was like, you know what? It doesn't like, as long as the execution is all right, I probably won't be too hard on the whole. It's like, no. No matter what the execution would have been, you still would not have liked this. Like, this is what it is, you know? Like, no matter who did it, like, if RTD wrote this, it would be the same thing, okay? I'm just saying. So, it doesn't matter who wrote it, how they wrote it, you still would react the same way to, like, just how this played out. So, whatever. Yeah. The cliffhanger was great though. I will say that the cliffhanger was phenomenal. It was very Tenet-y, which is fine. Like just Doctor in the TARDIS alone. It's like, okay, and then just randomly, just things start happening. It's like, dude, you're under arrest, imprisonment for life. Shada, what? Like, that was great. So I really liked how that worked out. And it's funny because, like, the story just doesn't feel like it ended, really, when I've looked back at it. Like, I don't know, just the Whitaker / Chibnall era, there's, like, this weird vibe of, like, yeah, the story kind of has there's the climax, and then there's a whole period of just, like, the story being concluded. But, like, I don't know, kind of just, like, all the Time Lords are destroyed, and then the companions reach on Earth, and it's like, oh no, what about the Doctor? And the Doctor, like, goes to the TARDIS, and then cliffhanger, bye bye. So yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, it didn't really feel like it had a post conclusion thing, which it didn't need to, obviously. Like, not every episode needs to have like that like extra bunch of scenes, like extra, like, 5 to 10 minutes of like post story stuff. But it just feels like weird that they just, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, the sacrifice bit at the end. It was a line. I can't, like, nobody mentions the line, so I can't remember it, but there was a line of, like, Doctor being like, I can do it, I have to do it right this time, or what? It was like a reference to her, like, blowing up Gallifrey, but, like, not really. Was like, I'm gonna destroy Gallifrey for real this time, or something along those lines. That really hit me hard. So yeah, it's weird that people don't mention that line, but, like, that was a really, really, like, strong line in my opinion. But the whole, like, Sharmas coming and replacing her and stuff like that, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like, the Doctor wouldn't accept the self-sacrifice. Like, she would, like, be like, hey, I'm gonna sacrifice myself, it's fine. And the Doctor just, like, runs away. That's a bit weird. Like, I feel like probably the better way of doing it would have, like, they did it well in, like, RTD era of, like, the Doctor trying to do a self-sacrifice, but, like, just a side character companion coming in and just being like, no. It's not like, hey, actually, here's another thing, and then Doctor being like, okay. It's more like the Doctor's, like, resigned to doing what she's doing. Like, I think two best examples that I can think of off the top of my head is Parting of the Ways, when, like, Doctor was like, you either destroy the humans and the Daleks and yourself, or you just, let the Daleks kill everything and we reign supreme. And the Doctor was like, you know what, I can't do this whole destroy everything thing again. I can't do it. I'm just gonna have to. I'm just gonna let you win. I can't kill everyone again. He was like gonna just accept the death, accept the L, the big L, the final L, and then Rose just came in as Bad Wolf and just saved everything. And it was out of his control. Is the big thing. It was mostly out of his control. Like, he was trying to, reason with Bad Wolf, like, Rose, what are you doing? Blah blah blah. And it's like, Rose is like, I am so powerful. I bring life. That kind of thing. Like, it was out of his hands, out of his control of what he could do. And then second example is Silence in the Library, where, like, he was gonna do the whole I can't even remember what was going on inside. So I can't actually remember why River killed herself in that episode. I just know, like, in order to win, like, you have to do something and it will kill you. That's all I can remember. Like, I can't actually remember the reason why they were doing it. Why did they do it? Was it like to get a massive power surge to like be able to teleport everybody like out of the library systems or something like that? I can't remember, but like, you know, like he was gonna do it, and then like he was like, "No, I'm fine. Like, I'm just gonna self-sacrifice." And River was like, "Punch!" and do it myself, tie him up so he can't do it. You know, it's kind of like, though, that I think that was good of like the doctor, like, yeah, I am gonna sacrifice myself. It's fine. I'll you know, whatever. Or like, if I'm not willing to sacrifice myself, at least I'll just die, just fail. It doesn't matter. I don't have the guts or the strength. Which is weird to me. I don't know why. It was kind of weird that she wouldn't destroy everything. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel like it had. Kind of just felt like she just wanted to not. I don't know. It was weird. It was kind of weird. Just that scene. You know. It's kind of like. It's like, I'm gonna destroy everything. Actually, I'm not. I don't want to. You know. And then guys like, you don't want to. I want to. I'm perfectly fine with destroying everything here. And it's like, okay, and leaves. Like, that was weird. I don't know. Like, yeah, obviously different incarnation acts differently and stuff. Fine, but I don't know. It just means that those incarnations were better. Trying to think of like a self-sacrifice that like Capaldi or Smith did. Can't think of too many off the top of my head. I feel like only one's like Lie of the Land, but obviously Lie of the Land was, it's not good. Of like him trying to do the whole thing with the thing, and then like they like knocked him out or whatever, and then Bill did it herself. I don't know. That's like the only time I can think of it like happening in like the Moffat era. Like the Doctor doing a actually no, Big Bang, like the Doctor did the whole self-sacrifice to like like use the Pandorica and like the Big Bang and blah 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 to like repair the universe. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna die, it's fine, I'll just die, I'll be a story in your head, and blah blah blah. And kind of just like, because of Amy being sentimental, he comes back. It's like, well, fine then, okay, cool, I'm back, okay then. Ooh, death. That was fun. You know, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that whole self-sacrifice thing was a bit weird. Like, how it all played out, but it was fine. I did like the Master through it, though, where it's like, you know, for a minute there, I actually thought you would do it. And also just the whole like end of time speech that the Master did, but like it was different, like for Gallifrey, for victory, for the end of the universe itself, or whatever he was saying. That was fun. But yeah, I definitely do think, as I said, the problem with Timeless Children, it kind of just makes the Gallifrey and Time Lords feel a little bit obsolete now. Especially like just compared to the Doctor. Like if the Timeless, I would have been, I don't know. Like, obviously, in order to have the whole Pre-Hartnell stuff, you would have to have the whole, like, it being the Doctor, because it wouldn't really make much sense if it was just like, oh, it's just the Doctor has different incarnations, it's fine, you know, whatever. You kind of, like, explain a little bit better if, like, she comes from, well, she is an entity that, like, came from another species or, like, different thing, like, I don't know, just blessed with this power or whatever. To like infinitely regenerate and stuff like that. So like, you could just do whatever you want with her pre-Hartnell and would be fine, in a way. It does. I think the only big, like, people complain about it ruining Hartnell's like development, but it really doesn't. Because like, if you think about it, like Ruth Doctor, she wasn't a good person at all, right? Like she killed the Jadoon, blah blah blah. The only thing is like she didn't like using guns or whatever. But like she perfectly was like willing to let let Gat kill herself, ripped up the Jadoon nose, all that kind of stuff. Like, she was not a good person. She's not a good Doctor, obviously. She's a lot more gray, like even grayer than like Capaldi, you know, like Series 8 and Series 9 Capaldi, specifically Hellbent Capaldi, right? So that's fine of it being Pre-Hartnell. Like, if the Pre-Hartnell Doctor is a lot more like savage and like Time Lordy and like, you know, like brutal and not, you know, but like, you know, the actual like Hartnell development of like, okay, we're gonna erase their memories, gonna regress them to childhood, we're gonna make them think they're a normal Time Lord, or just they're a normal, Gallifreyan that turns into a Time Lord, which that doesn't make much sense. Like if you think about it, because like then that would mean that they would have to like fake a whole giving the Doctor regenerations thing at some point, because like the way they do is like they give you the regenerations. It's like, I don't, the way they used to explain it, of like the Gallifreyans have the potential to regenerate, but like when they become a Time Lord, like that potential is like unlocked or something. Like that was always the intention, but like now with this like little retcon here of regenerations actually coming from a different species or like a different entity, then that kind of like makes it a little bit weird, because like, yeah, you would have to give the person the ability to regenerate, like you'd have to inject it into them or whatever. So like it would be weird that they would like fake a whole like injecting a young Doctor like with the ability to regenerate. And it's also weird because it's always kind of like been a gimmick of like the Doctor's like bad at regeneration. Like Master and like Ronnie, like Romana, her whole thing was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go in this room, change what I look like, just whatever, it's fine. You can just regenerate and like change your form whenever. Like that was like weird. And then like it was like the Doctor can't do it because he didn't go to the academy. He wasn't like, he didn't learn how to do it properly. So he's bad at regenerating, That was always a thing. But now that the power to regenerate comes from the Doctor, that makes it weird. like how, like maybe the Time Lords have like a more like they changed it for like other Time Lords to where they have more control over it. Like the Doctor only really has the basics. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird looking back at everything. But as I said, Whittaker bubble. The Whittaker bubble. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so I as I said, I didn't hate the episode. I thought the episode was fine. I liked the episode. It was a good finale. It was better than Battle of Ranskarth Kolos. If like, I'm not gonna say it's like the greatest finale. I think just because of just the significance of it, like good or bad, like the significance of it definitely like ranks a little bit higher than it probably would have been if you just had like it being the Master creating Cyberman Time Lord hybrids, which, as I said, I think would have been fine if they actually did stuff with them, but it was they pretty much only showed up to show the design, tell you, hey, the Cybermen can regenerate, show you the Cybermen regenerating, and then they die. That's literally all they do. That is only like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then we get rid of it. And then if you do the whole like, actually the Master and these fake Cybermen did survive, and they like come back later, like they're like the final villain that 13 faces before she regenerates into 14, or something like along those lines. That would be kind of a bit cheap, because like that just means like that whole climax scene doesn't really have an impact now. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Ascension of the Cybermen, I'm gonna give an 8.5 out of 10. And Timeless Children, I'm gonna give a 9 out of 10. So overall, series, I think I put this series in my top 5. It is my top 5 favorite series now. Beat out Series 8 to take that spot. So now, sadly, Capaldi is not in my top 5 at all anymore, which is sad. It's fine, but it's sad at the same time. It's yeah. Cause Series 8, like as bad as Orphan 55 and Can You Hear Me were, to me at least, the big issue kind of just came from like Series 8 had like Killed the Moon and like In the Forest of the Night, just like even if you like Series 8, just those episodes are not good. So yeah, which they're like nothing from Series 12 even compares. Like we didn't have a Saranga conundrum. It's fine, Series 12, and like the actual good episodes were really good. But yeah, overall, let's do an overall ranking here. So bottom of the barrel, obviously, Orphan 55, which I gave a 4 out of 10, which I know in my brain I'm keep on saying like move it to 3.5, man, move it to 3.5. I'm not going to. Orphan 55 at a 4 out of 10. Can you hear me at I think 5 out of 10? Still debating whether 4.5 out of 10, but yeah, 5 out of 10 for Can You Hear Me. 6 out of 10 for Praxeus. 7 out of 10 for Spyfall Part 1. An 8 out of 10 for Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. An 8 out of 10. An 8.5 out of 10 for Spyfall Part 2. An 8.5 out of 10 for Ascension of the Cybermen. A 9 out of 10 for Haunting of Villa Diodati. A 9 out of 10 for Timeless Children. And then let's just drop it down to a 9.5 out of 10 for Fugitive of the Dune, which is still my favorite episode of the series. Yeah, I've just looking back, it's pretty good. I don't know. Picking a favorite episode of the series is kind of tough because like they all kind of just fall into like, yeah, this is really good, but like I can't really say like there's not one of those episodes that really like stick out. Like this one in particular is that much better than everything else. Like it kind of just all falls into like a, yeah, this is just good episodes I'm surprised Chibnall was capable of doing. You know, that's all it really falls into. I can't really differentiate them too much. Like Fugitive and like Haunting of Villa Diodati and like Spyfall, like not Spyfall 42, but like the finale 2-parter, like Fugitive and like the last 3 episodes. I generally can't tell you like which of those episodes were great. I think probably like just favorite, not necessarily the best of the series, but like favorite, probably like Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. That was just a solid bit of Doctor Who that wasn't too crazy. It just was a nice, fun Doctor Who with a good sort of side cast, good message. It was fun. I just really enjoyed that episode. Probably the most rewatchable of Series 12 at the very least. It was just a good standalone episode, which always kind of like are the big ones, you know, like the little standalone episodes. They generally are kind of sort of sometimes better than something that would like actually build on the arc and stuff of the series. So yeah, but anyways, that's it for my review of Series 12, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. See ya in the next video. Troll on. I don't know what this intro is anymore. I don't know what this outro is anymore either.